Chief Samuel started with certified hiring because there was so many vacancies created in the aftermath of the John O'Connor tragedy. Manning got upped. A lot of the department changed a lot of their ways that they were operating, and it required adding guys on the engines, the 3 engines, putting a second ambulance in service full time. And at the time we had the 2 ladder trucks too. We went to 18 men per shift. So we were the first 4 to be hired in '96 out of our groups. It was exciting. Everybody was pumped. So for me, I was happy because I went back home, started in New London with the hooks before I moved on. And then my dad, of course, coach, 32 years with the department, and Chap Senior, 35 years with the department. They were, grew up watching them and wanting to be part of the fire department in New London. When I got hired, my original number was badge 37. I had that for a while till my father retired. They weren't going to do anything with the badges, so Chief Samuel came up with the policy that relatives can pass on their badge numbers if the number is available. My dad, he pinned me when we came on in '96. Chap pinned me when I got promoted in 2013 to lieutenant. 2 good men there that meant a lot to me through the years. Yeah, we got on in the summer of '96. It was active. We were pretty busy. We had a lot. Gangs were pretty active. They had a couple. The police had a couple of task forces out dealing with the gang violence and stuff. So we had a lot of interesting calls. We all stood up. We helped each other out. Had a lot of good times. Did some trips, did parades. We did honor guard funerals. We paid respects to our retirees. We stood by, did honor guard duties, pallbearers if the family requested it. Lots of good times in the firehouse. A lot of fun. Some pranks, firehouse pranks, all good stuff. Some stuff I don't think we could probably not get away with in the firehouse today. So I won't bring up any details, but if you know me, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I did just about 20 years, a little shy of 20, before I had an opportunity to go with the military in the National Guard and with the state, and I ended up deploying overseas with the Air National Guard, and I'm still presently working for the state as a civilian up at Bradley Air Base. But my home's still in London. I still live in New London, still active down here. I keep touch with the guys. I, go to go to different events I get invited to. I donate it back to the union every year. I appreciate what the union did for me with the pension. That was big. Probably one of the things that stand out. We had a fire on Reach Street, and I remember it was around Christmas time because it was a Christmas tree that lit off. Kent and I forced the front door, and up the stairs we could see the flames rolling over. And I started to go up the stairs, and Kent, with that big old mitt of his, grabbed me, pulled me back down, and said, "We're going to wait for the line," which was good advice, and I do appreciate Kent looking out for me on that one. The bus. Most of my first few tours on the bus was on a 200. Oh my God, some of the calls we had, besides the drunks and all of that, just everything imaginable, from shootings, stabbings, overdoses, assaults. I liked being on the ambulance too in the early years because you were out all the time. You just, you were busy. And if you had a fire, 99% of the time, you just parked the rig and you went in. It was funny, the pillow nurse, the stories of the pillow nurse. They're always watching us because we would always be looking to, reacquire, material, you know, supplies that we couldn't get from the firehouse. Just the characters in the firehouse. Brendan was a character. It's funny. He always sat at the head of the table, the remote, and the newspaper. You know, and we just kind of, you know, he was the senior guy. We just kind of let him be grumpy and have his opinions on the world, as he was so famous for saying. Oh, Brendan was hilarious. His little phrases for everything. I learned some new things when I was with Brendan. It was alley apples, which is rocks, obviously. If you vent a window and you don't have a tool, you take an alley apple. That's what he used to say, and I've seen him do it a few times. City kitties were skunks. He would always call them city kitties. But probably one of the best ones was when we'd see young lads walking down the street. His favorite thing would be, oh, they must be on a V-Day. Yeah, Brainerd Street. When we got on, his dad was still alive, and his sister, TC, they lived on Brainerd Street across from the old Engine 7. And all of the new guys, he would just, Susan, you know, I forget the numeric on Brainerd Street.
77.
77, yep, 77 Brainerd Street. You know, we had to know that address. We had to know all about that house, and that's where Pops was, and that's where TC was. So that was one of the every new guy came in. They were all drilled on that. But we had other guys, some of their quirks, you know, seasoning their plates. I remember before we get new food on, there's salt and pepper in their plates. Or one quirk I had, and some of these guys do know it, is that I don't like chicken on the bone. So that was always the joke. If I was working overtime and it was chicken on the bone, I'd pay for the meal and I just wouldn't eat that. And they would go, I get my stones broke about that. But Stevie Wargo, when he would cook, he would actually debone the chicken, you know, on our shifts. So he would make sure that I was able to eat the meal. So I appreciate everything he did for me on that. Eddie C, he was one of a kind. He really was. He was a good guy. Always looking out for the guys. A lot of the officers. Chief Samuel, he's very quiet. He did definitely separate, and you know, he'd come down and eat his lunch and stuff like that with us. But you know, he was very professional. He hired me, gave me my opportunity. So grateful for that. He promoted me just before I retired him, and Henry was getting ready to take over when Ted Sargent got promoted to battalion chief. And he was a policy guy, and he would listen. He had plans, and some of the things you're actually seeing take shape now and in a few years back. So yeah, so it was just a different time. We just everybody knew each other and looked out for each other. We had a lot of camaraderie. I think we would go, if somebody was moving, we'd be there to help them move. If somebody had a project going on at their house, even if you went and just, you know, emptied the garbage, if you didn't have a skill, you know, Richie would be doing the floors, and you know, we'd sweep up after them, and you know, that type of thing. The best job in the world. You know, people say it sounds like me to say maybe it's a cliche, but it is. It's true. You know, somebody coming into the fire department, know the city, know your equipment. Know your equipment. Make sure everything's good to go every shift. Don't get complacent. Complacency is just, that's where you get yourself into trouble. Yeah, dude, love the job, respect the job, take care of each other. Settle your differences, keep them down to the minimum level. We're all different. We all have our quirks. We all have our pluses and our minuses. Just try to accept people for who they are. That type of thing, you know.